The story begins with Jack, a young boy living with his father, who loves nothing more than the giant tales his mother used to read to him before she passed. The legend goes that long ago, a group of monks discovered magical creatures they believed would lead them to heaven. But when they reached the top, they found something else entirely, a realm between earth and sky called Gantua, home to a terrifying race of giants. The giants climbed down the magic beanstalks and began terrorizing the people below. Not far away, a young Princess Isabel is hearing the very same story. The monks eventually found a way to fight back, melting the heart of a giant to forge a crown and placing it on King Eric's head. With the crown, Eric bent the giants to his will and sent them back to Gantua for good. The magic trees were cut down, peace was restored, and the crown was buried alongside the king, turning the whole saga into legend. When Jack asks his father whether the giants might ever return, his father reassures him that even if they did, the king's descendants would stop them, then walks out of the room, dismissing the whole thing as a fairy tale. Meanwhile, Isabel's mother tells her daughter that she carries King Eric's blood in her veins. After his father leaves, Jack reads on alone, and the book warns him plainly: one day the giants will return, wage war on mankind, and kill every last heir of Eric. 10 years later, Jack is now a young man sent by his uncle to sell their horse in the city, with strict instructions not to dawdle. The moment he arrives, a theater performance immediately pulls his attention. While he watches, he spots a beautiful girl in the crowd who notices him looking. Before the play even ends, 3 men start harassing her, and when she tries to leave, Jack follows and steps in to stop them. One of the men punches him in the face, but Jack stands his ground calmly and tells them to let her go. At that moment, a group of the king's guards rides in, led by Elmont, and the 3 men immediately fall over themselves apologizing. Jack watches puzzled until the girl mounts a horse and the entire crowd drops to their knees. By the time he snaps out of it, his cart has been stolen. Back at the castle, a panicked monk named Wick has come to see the king's chief advisor, and something about the man's behavior immediately makes Roderick suspicious. He goes straight to the late King Eric's chamber to check on things and discovers that the magic beans have been stolen, though the special crown is still in its place. He orders General Anton to seal the city gates and make sure the monk doesn't slip out under any circumstances. Wick figures out the guards are looking for him and spots Jack nearby, still trying to sell his horse. He approaches and offers a trade. Jack hesitates, but the monk insists they're extraordinary and will fetch a fortune later on. He warns Jack firmly not to lose them and under no circumstances to let them get wet. While Jack is still thinking it over, the monk grabs the horse and bolts. He doesn't make it far. Roderick's men catch him before he clears the city. Back home, Jack's uncle tears into him for losing the horse. While inside the palace, the king scolds Isabel for refusing to go along with his plan to marry her off to Roderick. Isabel makes it clear she is no helpless woman and storms out. The uncle throws the beans across the table in fury and leaves. Meanwhile, Roderick and Wick interrogate the monk, who warns them that the beans should have been left buried where they were. They were made with dark magic and cannot be controlled. Roderick kills him without a second thought. That night, as Jack worries about his uncle out in the storm, Princess Isabel slips away from the castle and gets lost in the dark. She sees a light coming from Jack's house and makes her way toward it. Jack is about to go looking for his uncle when Isabel knocks on the door. He invites her in and they start talking, neither fully admitting they recognize each other. Jack pulls out the same giant book he read as a boy and shows it to her. When he asks who she's running from, she answers from him, meaning her father's arrangement with Roderick. Neither of them notices that rain is slowly dripping through the roof and soaking into one of the beans on the floor. The house begins to shake. A giant beanstalk tears through the ground at impossible speed, and Jack is thrown outside while Isabel is trapped within the walls of the rising house. Jack scrambles up the growing stalk trying to reach her, but when she opens the door, she accidentally knocks him off. He grabs her bracelet as he falls and somehow survives the plunge, landing unconscious on the ground far below. The next morning, the king arrives and stares up at the colossal stalk. He finds Jack and asks why he's holding his daughter's bracelet. One of the guards from the marketplace recognizes the boy and vouches for him. After Jack explains everything, the king decides that Jack and Elmont will climb the stalk and bring Isabel home. The climb is long and brutal. Roderick is operating with an agenda of his own. Partway up, a guard named Craw tries to shove Jack off to the other side, but Jack slips and nearly falls before they pull him back. By the time they reach the top, the climbing party has been cut down to just 6 survivors. They find the wreckage of the house but no princess, and the group fans out to search this strange world above the clouds. Roderick immediately pulls Jack aside and threatens him into handing over the remaining beans. Jack gives him the pouch, but he's sharp enough to have already hidden one bean back for himself. Elmont and Craw pick up a trail left by Isabel and move fast to follow it. Jack finds her book on the ground and tells the others she must be hiding close by. But then they spot broken branches nearby and realize something enormous has dragged her away. Elmont splits the group into two. His half, which includes Craw and Jack, goes searching for food when they stumble into a trap. Elmont starts cutting them free when something massive approaches. They break out just in time to hide as a giant lumbers past and swallows an entire sheep in one mouthful. Then it catches Craw's scent. The giant finds him in moments and despite Craw's attempt to run closes the distance in a single leap. When Elmont charges in to help, the giant kicks him unconscious and carries them both off. Jack follows in silence. Meanwhile, at a waterfall, Roderick tricks one of the remaining soldiers by pointing and saying, "Look, the princess." And when the soldier steps forward to look, Roderick shoves him into the gorge. Then a giant grabs Wick and eats him whole. Another giant appears, but Roderick manages to seize the special crown and it saves his life. Jack trails the giant all the way to its city, where he finds Isabel being held by a two-headed giant who keeps demanding to know how she got there and whether more humans are coming. She insists she came alone, but the two-headed giant knows she's a descendant of King Eric, and he shows the others that humans have returned. Right then another giant arrives carrying Craw and Elmont. Their leader questions them and Craw responds not with answers but with mockery. So the giant swallows him whole without hesitation. Jack is close by, slipping carefully between giants to get closer. General Fallon threatens Elmont that he'll eat Isabel if he doesn't start talking, then immediately gets into an argument with another giant about who gets to eat her first. And that's the moment Roderick walks in with the crown on his head. Every single giant, including Fallon, drops to its knees. Elmont is relieved, assuming rescue has arrived, until Roderick walks straight past him, sits on the throne, and turns to the giants with new orders. They fight for him now and they attack Earth at dawn. Fallon says nothing, but his expression makes clear he despises this arrangement. Jack spots a room stacked with plunder stolen from Earth over the ages, and while he's looking around he hears Isabel begging for her life. The giants are preparing to eat her. He goes straight to her, and while one giant wanders off briefly, Jack tries to get her out but can't manage it. He makes his way to Elmont instead and slips him a knife. When the giant returns, it coats Elmont in dough and stuffs him into the oven, apparently intending to bake him. Jack climbs up from above while Elmont breaks out of the dough on his own. Then the giant drags Isabel out of her cage. Jack seizes the moment, grabs a massive knife and drives it into the giant. Elmont breaks free. Isabel runs and Jack holds on to the giant's back as it thrashes. In its panic, the giant slams itself into the wall and kills itself. Elmont is astonished. Jack tells him simply to follow and leads them out. Down below, the king asks his general whether they should cut down the stock. The general urges patience. The people up there still have a chance to come back. Before long, Jack, Elmont and Isabel reach a riverbank and find a giant sleeping across it. Jack plans to stuff a beehive into the giant's mask and let the bees do the work. It'll bolt in blind panic and ignore them completely. The two men creep in close, wedge the hive into the mask and run. The giant wakes up screaming, loses its footing and plunges into the gorge below. When the danger passes, Isabel and Jack throw their arms around each other and embrace Elmont clocks immediately. He walks to the edge and tells Jack to take the princess home, declaring that Jack is her protector now. He'll stay behind to watch Roderick. Isabel says her goodbyes and the two begin their descent. Near the base of the stock, the fallen giant has crashed close enough that the king sees it. He turns to his general and says quietly that his daughter's life cannot outweigh the lives of an entire kingdom. He orders the stock cut down. The general still wants to wait, but when the king picks up a sword and starts chopping it himself, the general orders his men to get it done fast. Far above, Jack and Isabel are climbing down and can already see their city. They start wondering what everyone below is doing. The cutting moves quickly. At Gantua's edge, Elmont waits for Roderick, dozing until the giant army starts moving. Roderick arrives and heads for the drop. Elmont immediately jumps him and the remaining beans spill and fall. A vicious fight breaks out. Roderick calls on the giants for help, but Fallon tells his men to stand back and let them handle it themselves. Roderick is winning until Elmont snatches his sword and wounds him. Roderick shoves Elmont off the edge, but Elmont drives his knife into Roderick on the way down, killing him. The giants break through the rock barrier but can't reach Roderick in time and he's already dead. Now the crown is theirs. Fallon slides it onto his finger and declares himself king of the giants. Below, the soldiers have cut clean through the lower section of the stock and it begins to shake violently. Jack and Isabel feel it high above and realize what's happening. The whole thing is coming down fast. Jack tells Isabel to hold on tight. Elmont scrambles up the trunk before it snaps. Fallon watches from above. Jack and Isabel are hurtling downward. Jack grabs a section of vine and they swing with it as the stalk collapses beneath them. The top section of Elmont is clinging to crashes into the royal palace, but he jumps clear just before it hits. The king is devastated, certain his daughter is gone, until Elmont walks out of the wreckage with Isabel beside him. She tells her father everything that happened above the clouds. The king turns to Jack and tells him that as a father, there is no way he can ever repay what he's done. Jack says goodbye with a heavy heart, leaving Isabel the book so she'll have something to remember him by. She walks back into the castle with her father, and for a moment it seems like the ordeal is over. But Fallon has found the remaining beans on Roderick's body. He hurls them into the water and a new magic stalk immediately explodes upward. Fallon prepares his army as the stalk takes root at the very edge of their land, and before it's fully grown the giants are already climbing down. Fallon goes last. On the ground, Jack finds his horse and sees the giants flooding down the stalk. He rides hard to warn the king. Within moments, the giants are touching earth. Jack finds a monk and shouts at him to ring the bells, then races to the king and Isabel to tell them what's coming. They turn around and see giants already at their backs. Everyone runs for the city. Fallon himself is hunting the king. Elmont gets the army into position and the city's defenses go up. The giants close in behind Jack as he rides. Elmont waits for them to commit into the city before he lights the oil. When the king passes through the gates, the drawbridge goes up. Jack clears the jump, but Fallon leaps right after him. Elmont pushes the giant off the bridge and he crashes into the oil cauldron below. Other giants begin forcing their way in and Fallon surfaces and survives. Inside, Elmont briefs the king. The crown is on Fallon's finger. As long as he wears it, there is no way out of this. Then the giants hurl a massive bell into the city and hook it to the drawbridge, ripping it down. The king sends Isabel to her room to light a torch signal to the neighboring kingdoms, and tells Jack to keep her safe. Elmont and what's left of the guard hold the bridge. Isabel leads Jack through a narrow passage into the catacombs beneath the city, and they soon pass the tomb of King Eric himself. They make it to the king's chamber, and then hear something tearing through the ground below. Fallon is breaking through the wall from underneath. They run the moment they see him. The army fights to slow the giants down, but they're being overrun. Now the giants are throwing burning logs into the city. The soldiers manage to push back with spears and briefly hold the advantage, but the giants smash through their weapons and the line breaks. Fallon catches the princess's scent and tracks her straight to where she and Jack are hiding. He finds them, and they sprint down a narrow staircase. Fallon rips the wall apart and snatches Isabel. Jack fights to free her while Fallon tries to kill him, and just as the giant opens his mouth to swallow Jack whole, Jack pulls out the last bean he'd been holding back and throws it straight in. The bean takes root inside the giant's stomach and tears him apart from the inside as it grows. The stalk that erupts from Fallon's body also destroys the palace around it, and when the pieces of the giant rain down near Jack and Isabel, the hand still wearing the crown lands right beside Jack. Outside, the other giants have pulled down the drawbridge, and the people have sealed the city gates, bracing for a final assault. Then they see the massive stalk destroying the palace from within, and the giants freeze. One by one, they drop their weapons and kneel before the humans. Jack walks out from behind the growing tree wearing the crown, and Isabel takes his hand. Sometime later, Jack is telling his children the end of the story, how the giants were sent back to their land for good, and how the princess married a boy from the village. The children ask where the crown is, worried about what happens if the giants ever come back. Jack tells them it's kept safe somewhere very special. Right then Isabel comes to join them, and the family lives happily ever after.